Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pitch Side Podcast channel. I am your host, the HOD of the PSP. Like, share, subscribe to the channel as usual, enable notifications to receive all the updates from these episodes of the podcast and other content on the channel. You can follow us on social media. I'm at PSP on Twitter, Pitch Side Pod on Instagram, and also listen to this on Google Podcasts, Spotify, or any other platform you want to. It's Friday, so it's the preview of the weekend, so you will be dismissing the news portion, really, because we had just a lot of talk about this weekend's games in across the European top leagues, and we start from the Premier League, and boy, is it a stacked weekend in the Premier League. Seriously, there's a bunch of fixtures in the Premier League that are just amazing and entertaining to watch. Let's start by a quick run of the calendar. Leicester City host Liverpool, that's on Saturday, kicking off the games in style. Crystal Palace host Burnley later on in the afternoon, 6:30. It's going to be Man City Tottenham on Saturday, Brighton Aston Villa late on 9 p.m. Southampton versus Wolves in a repeat of the cup game that just happened yesterday. Southampton, of course, qualifying to the next round against Wolves 2-0. West Brom hosts Manchester United. Arsenal hosts Leeds United on Sunday. Everton host Fulham. West Ham host Sheffield United. And Chelsea host Newcastle. Those last two games are on Monday. Quick reminder, of course, recap of the FA Cup. The quarterfinal round is set. The draw has been set. It will be Leicester City facing Manchester United, Everton over-defeated Tottenham face Manchester City, Chelsea are going to be facing Sheffield United, and Southampton are going to be facing Bournemouth. The matches are going to be taking place on the weekend of the 21st of March. Quite the interesting ties there in the quarterfinal of the FA Cup. All four are interesting, really. Even the Southampton-Bournemouth is really interesting to watch. So let's get into the Premier League, though. And, there's just, I think, two big axes here to focus on: the Liverpool axis and the Manchester City axis. The Liverpool axis, they go to King Power. They face Leicester City, a game that they, a fixture that they, sort of dominated in the last couple of years, and they got away with in the last couple of occasions. Of course, out of the last 5, they only drew once against Leicester, beating them home and away. In each occasion. So the last time they lost, I think it was back in 2018. They lost, I think 2-1 was it against Leicester away from home. This is, I think, a must-win. I mean, every fixture now for Liverpool is must-win because they need to keep the top 4 spot, because we talked about that. We said that Liverpool's top 4 spot is in big jeopardy after the 4-1 defeat to Man City last week, and with the continuous list of injuries that they have, it looks like an absolute must, I think, for Liverpool to start their new centre-halves in some fashion. Ben Davies or Ozan Kabak, they need to start one of them at least in this game to fill some void, and also to allow Fabinho and Henderson to go in the midfield and do the usual drill in the midfield, adding more solidity to that line rather than just sitting as centre-halves. Pretty much, I mean, for Fabinho, he has been decent enough. He has played long enough as a centre-half to be decent and to get used to that. Maybe he'll be relied upon later on in the future to be a centre-back for Liverpool or for another team, maybe. But Henderson, I think, that's never his suit. That's never his strong suit, defending inside the box and all of that. His strong suit is always pressing, directing the press, playing diagonal balls from the midfield. When he retracted into the centre of the fence, it's really bad, and it doesn't really get worse than just being out of sources and out of depth against any opposition pretty much since he started playing as a centre half. For Leicester City, it's the quite the opposite situation, or maybe near something like that. They could go top of the second in the table, in front of Man United, 1 point ahead of them if they win And it seems a very plausible situation that they win against this Liverpool side, because they have the options and they have the enough depth in their squad, despite, also the interesting injuries that they have. They have the likes of Dennis Pratt, Timothy Castagne, Wilfred Ndidi is in question, James Maddison as well is in question, Fofana, Wes Morgan, Johnny Evans. It's a list, worthy of an excuse, really, if they lost, but certainly Leicester City are so good this season that you cannot really excuse them for losing games like that, even with all of injuries. It's an opportunity for Leicester, an opportunity for Liverpool, and certainly the biggest, I think they are the biggest needers of a win in this weekend. Liverpool are probably the biggest side in need of a win this weekend. Leicester City could make this game hard for them, depending on what happened. It's all about the midfield line. If Leicester City find a way to just decompose the midfield line of Liverpool, like most teams found a way really this season, it will be a hard game for Jurgen Klopp, and it will be another disappointment for him, of course. Rest in peace to his mother, by the way, again, and thoughts and prayers with him in its hard time. The second axis, of course, and it's the big fixture of the weekend, the biggest fixture of the weekend, I would say, Man City versus Tottenham. Someone even calling a title decider or some sort of a shape maker in this weekend, and I think it's right. It is, because Man City beating Tottenham, depending on other results later on, it will give City an 8-point lead at the top of the table ahead of Man United, a 10-point lead ahead of Leicester City, a 13-point lead ahead of Liverpool, depending on the results. Surely this is going to be around the 8 to 10-point lead by the end of the week, because clearly, Chelsea are not going to be climbing into the top three. West Ham United as well, Everton, Tottenham Hotspur, they're far from climbing in top four and making a comeback to close down the gap. So I think for City, it is a big chance. And, I think Man City now have the title to lose. So they won 10 games now in the league. They won an incredible. They made an incredible turnaround, I might add. Even it's just an amazing turnaround for Man City in the last couple of months in the Premier League. They turned it around from their top 4 spot in jeopardy, not winning the league is a potential threat, to it's their title, it's their league, and the others are just chasing. And it looks like it will be eventually a repeat of last season, but only in reverse, as City are going to be escaping with the title, Liverpool are just going to be watching from afar and not going to be able to do anything. And the realistic nature of Guardiola this season somehow is making Man City even stronger, and they coped with every injury they had, and they had the likes of Aguero and De Bruyne missing. And they coped with that, and they still managed to win. Of course, they qualified in the FA Cup against Swansea. You expect them to do that. They're now on 15 straight wins in all competitions locally in England, which is the record by any team in any league ever in England. So that is just more history for Guardiola to make, after having the longest winning streak in Spain, the longest winning streak in the Bundesliga with Bayern, now the longest winning streak with Man City. I think overall, this is going to be. I think I'm trying to be calm and collected here when I'm talking about the title chances for City, but still, that's the reality of things. It looks like it's going to be a matter of time before City just escape from everyone or collapse, because it could still happen. And as much as City are really, really good at the moment, and they have the ominous form on them, it could still happen that City collapse for a couple of games, just for a couple of games. Like, losing or drawing a couple of games back-to-back is going to be enough for any team of the others, capitalizing in the same moment, getting 2 wins back-to-back, and just getting close to Man City and giving them a scare in the late parts of the season. And I want that somehow, because, from the looks of it, the Premier League is not going to be remembered to be competitive this season, and I want it to be that. it looked like we have a proper title race, but if City are going to be escaping with it again, I don't see the point really in any of the excitement about the Premier League this season anyway. For Tottenham, just outside of the cup against Everton, one trophy less for Mourinho to play for, and now he has a lot of work to do in the Premier League, and I mean a lot of work to do. He has a lot of catch-up to do, really. On the top 4 spots, I mean, like forget about winning the title, because that is out of the reach of almost anyone at the moment, probably except for Leicester City and United. I mean, even Liverpool don't think that they're able to reach again and win the title. So, for Spurs now, it's about keeping the top 4, trying to keep up with the pace and the system, because their style of play has been good for a while, and then has been catastrophic for a while. So Mourinho decided to change it in the cup, and they conceded 5 goals. So he's going to be returning, obviously, to the Park the Boss system that won him so many games this season. And against Man City, it probably will be against the perfect opponent, but against this Man City, the current form Man City, because the City that Tottenham beat back in late November 2-0, where they just sat back and just been all over their box, crowding the area and not allowing City to do anything, is different from the Man City of now. The Man City of now, with Gundogan on fire, Phil Foden on fire, Riyad Mahrez getting his form back, Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus scoring goals, and all sorts of quick and slick movement that for some period in this season we didn't see Man City doing. So the last 2 games for Tottenham against Man City, they need to forget about, because this is not the same City. They're going to be facing another team, another side. There's going to be a different side waiting for them this Sunday as they'd had, or this Saturday, sorry. So it's going to be a hard proposition for Tottenham and for anyone to capitalise and to try and score against this Man City side, because they kept a lot of clean sheets. They only conceded once in the last 10. They only conceded once on the last 10. So you have to really, somehow figure out a way to get through the defence first. So good luck with that, Jose Mourinho, and I hope he doesn't find an excuse to that as well. Of course, Man United trip into West Brom, Arsenal facing Leeds, hoping to get their form back. Everton, an easy game against Fulham, I would say. Interesting one in Brighton versus Aston Villa, really. West Ham hosting Sheffield United, hoping to continue their good season. And Chelsea against Newcastle on Monday, of course. Hopefully to keep the momentum going under Thomas Tuchel. It was a hard win against Barnsley yesterday in the FA Cup. Barnsley gave him a good game, but eventually Chelsea managed to defeat them with the own goal by Tammy Abraham. They hope to keep the momentum going, and they need to, really, if they want to be anywhere near top 4 spots and Champions League opportunities this season. The table for the Premier League reads Man City 50 points, United 45, Leicester City 43, Liverpool 40, 39 for Chelsea and West Ham, 37 for Everton, 36 for Tottenham, 35 for Aston Villa and Leeds United with 32, 31 with Arsenal, 29 for Southampton, Crystal Palace and Wolves, Wolves 27, Brighton 25, Newcastle 25, 23 for Burnley, 15 Fulham, 12 West Brom and Sheffield United with 11 at the bottom. To Spain, and it is round 23 of La Liga kicking off on Friday with Celta Vigo versus Elche, Granada hosts Atletico Madrid on Saturday, Sevilla versus Huesca, Eibar versus Valladolid, Barcelona faces Alaves on Saturday, Getafe facing Real Sociedad, Real Madrid versus Valencia on Sunday as well, Levante Osasuna, Villarreal Betis and Cadiz hosting Athletic Club on Monday. Also, there are just a couple of big points here in La Liga. Atletico going to Granada, looking to forget about the slip against Celta Vigo basically, and go on to another win that will just get them closer and expectedly to winning La Liga, because it's their moment, it's their season. They have been on great form. And it looks just like they will do it. It's just a fact. Suarez is on fire, scoring goals. Pichichi of the season, 16, before his former buddy Messi with 13 goals. Simeone has found the ultimate formula, it looks like, to conquer La Liga, and seriously, that loss against Real Madrid seems like a big blip in the, not a big, small blip in the radar, I might say. 16 wins this season, and they still have 2 games in hand. It's going to be an incredible record when they finish the season, comparatively. Barcelona, of course, another big axis in La Liga this weekend. They face Alaves, and I mean, it's this game comes in the middle of 2 big occasions for them. They just lost against Sevilla in the Cup, and in a game that was really horrible from Barcelona. Like, it was a static game from Barcelona, which is not something that is new or surprising to see, but it just gets more disappointing the more you see it. Like, the more you see the defensive mistakes of Barcelona, the more you see the stagnant nature of their press, or the lack of that press, the non-existent nature of their press, you see how things pan out, the more you get disappointed about that club, because it certainly looks like they cannot pick themselves up for the rest of the season, and they have a crucial fixture against PSG in the Champions League, a game that, albeit PSG are going to be without Neymar in it, it looks impossible for Barcelona, even with Messi, to get the better of PSG. Everybody's expecting Barcelona to lose to PSG or to be eliminated, but some people are even fearing the worst. So this game against Alaves, Koeman has no choice, by the way, rather than to win it. Alright, so he cannot rotate his squad, because basically he doesn't have a big squad to rotate. Injuries are just a major bug for Barcelona. They miss already the likes of Piqué, Coutinho, Roberto, Fati, Araujo, and you can add to that Dest, Pjanic, and Braithwaite. And, the potential for a depleted squad heading into a PSG game is big, and they could still, and do not know what could happen. They still could lose a couple of players here, or one player here in the game to injury, and miss him for the next game against PSG. I mean, Barcelona are entering the PSG game in the Champions League as a depleted squad, and it doesn't bode well. And Alaves are not a side that will give up easily. Yes, you might argue that they are 16th on the table, close to relegation, whatever, but they will not give up easily. They will give Barcelona a fight. They defeated them in the first fixture, 1-0. It was a tough game. The goalkeeper, I think, had a terrific game back then, and Barcelona need to win. It's just a must win for Barcelona if they want to be anything near close of Atletico Madrid, even remotely, because assuming that Atletico Madrid are going to be winning their game against Granada, really, and Barcelona are going to be just having to settle for the second place, really. And El Clasico, I mentioned it a lot, that probably the Clasico will be for the second place rather than anything significant or anything. Real Madrid, moving on, of course. Real Madrid are speaking of Barcelona, you have to speak of Real Madrid. I mean, not to say similar form for Real Madrid. I think it's made much worse. I mean, for Real Madrid, it's the choices that Zidane makes. I mean, it's not about financial, it's not about the aging players. The choices that he makes sometimes are really, really bad. And he tried a new formation in the last game, the win against Huesca, the 2-1 win against Huesca. He tried a new formation, Real Madrid, or against Getafe, sorry, a new formation, the 2-0 win against Getafe. He tried the new formation, sort of a 3 in the back kind of thing, and it was successful. It got the results that he wanted, despite the fact that he didn't have the best of games, really, but it got him the result that he wanted. Could it do the same against Valencia? Obviously, a side that defeated them 4-1 in the reverse fixture. I mean, in a game that was penalty crazy at the time. But I think Real Madrid need to win. They also need to win because they also have a Champions League game in the future, a big Champions League game in the future to look ahead to. But, I mean, I don't think they have a chance as well. Like, we're dismissing Barcelona's chances of winning the title or getting close to Atletico. Real Madrid also, they don't have a chance really. They don't stand a big chance. Atletico Madrid win both their games in hand, and it's done. And there's no chance whatsoever for Real Madrid. It's just a matter of time. I think it's going to be formality, but Real Madrid still need to win to keep, the pressure going and to give themselves again a remote chance of trying to catch Atletico Madrid, hoping for another slip, hoping for a bad period for them, hoping for a rough patch of form where they just drop more points to the point where the gap is closed and we could have a late title race this season. So, overall, the table of Laliga stands like this. Atletico Madrid, 51 points, Real Madrid, 46, 43 for Barcelona, 42 for Sevilla, 36 for Villarreal, 35 Real Sociedad, Betis, 30 points as well as Granada, 27 for Levante, 26 for Celta Vigo, 25 for Athletic Club, 24 Valencia, Getafe, 24, Cadiz, 24, 22 for Osasuna and Alaves, 20 for Eibar and Valladolid, Elche, 18, 16 for Huesca at the bottom. Moving on to the Bundesliga, and no Bayern this weekend in the Bundesliga to play because Bayern are going to be taking a rest for the Sextuple. I mean, the game is on Monday, so remotely probably going to be moved to a later date. Maybe yes, maybe no, but for the moment they're going to be playing on Monday against Arminia Bielefeld. So on Friday it will be Leipzig versus Augsburg, starting the round 21 of the Bundesliga. Stuttgart versus Hertha Berlin, Bremen versus Freiburg, Leverkusen versus Mainz. On Saturday, Dortmund facing Hoffenheim, an interesting game ready to watch as well. Union Berlin versus Schalke, all on Saturday. On Sunday it's Eintracht Frankfurt versus Cologne and Wolfsburg versus Gladbach. The Bundesliga, I think, is getting less interesting in terms of title race because everybody realized that, okay, Bayern are going to be winning it as well, and they will run away with it once again for the 9th time this season. So it's more about the Champions League spots, and even in that regard, I think it looks like we're going to have one of those seasons where the second place team is just a cut above the rest as well. Leipzig are going to be, are the second best team in Germany at the moment. This is just straight facts. Their record compared to Bayern is just, Bayern lost twice and Leipzig lost 3 times, yet Bayern are 7 points ahead. And that's because Bayern drew less games than Leipzig did. Leipzig drew 5 games. Leipzig, if they won 2 of those 5 games that they drew, we will have a proper title race. Like a proper title race. Imagine that. It would probably be in the region of 4 to 3 points, and we've been talking about pressure piling on Bayern Munich, and we're probably talking about Leipzig maybe reducing the gap. But it won't happen. Leipzig game against Augsburg barely is going to be reducing it momentarily to 4 points, and these 4 points gap is going to be returning to 7 potentially by the time Bayern Munich reach the German territories and play their game against Arminia Bielefeld. Wolfsburg, Frankfurt, Leverkusen, Dortmund and Gladbach to a lesser degree, and I'm really sighing when I'm saying Dortmund because it doesn't look that they will get Champions League football this season unless they make a late sort of surge, because Leverkusen, despite the drop in the form that was horrible early on in January and sort of around, they still somehow in the top 4 spots, and they still hovering around, playing for some Champions League spots. Frankfurt and Wolfsburg, I think Eintracht Frankfurt being in the Champions League would be quite a nice thing for Adi Hütter. They have been low-key on some of the best form they had this season, and the fact they're one of the strongest attacks in the Bundesliga as well. They are the second best attack behind Bayern. Yes, they scored only 41 compared to Bayern's 58, but still. Wolfsburg as well, they've been on a decent run, and they have, also a great, great defensive record in their own right. They are the second strongest defense in the Bundesliga behind Leipzig. I mean, talking about Bayern are the 4th best defense in the Bundesliga, or the 5th best defense in the Bundesliga, because Union Berlin conceded 25 and 21 conceded by Leverkusen. I mean, it looks like it'd be interesting to see how the top 4 will pan out in Germany. Dortmund, I mean, less chances. Gladbach, less chances. They would be content with the Europa League spot, I think, for the next season, Borussia Mönchengladbach. Hopefully they would make great... I mean, I like to watch them. I like to watch all of those teams behind Bayern Munich. But I think the most my heart will go to are Gladbach and Wolfsburg. Because Wolfsburg, I mean, I watched them when they went straight from relegation and the second division of the Bundesliga to winning the Bundesliga title, to be in the Champions League, and then just dropping completely, out of form. So I think I wish them really well, and I want to see them do something significant this season. I really love the way they play. I mean, Wout Weghorst is probably the most underrated striker in the world at the moment. Still, some people are not rating him that high. Like, the guy is, for a almost 7 foot tall, like, seriously, that's a wrestling kind of joke, but he's around 6'4", 6'5", and he's just brilliant on the ball somehow. And his positioning and his attacking play is incredible. So I guess, I mean, I want them to make it to the Champions League. Hopefully they will, and, we will see how this race is going to pan out, because the Bundesliga title race, I think, is done and dusted for Bayern. The 6-tuple winners might add after defeating Tigres in the FIFA Club World Cup. You can check out the review for that game on the channel. Finishing off the podcast episode and the preview, of course, we go to Italy and the Serie A. Around 22 it is of action there. Bologna kicks off the action against Benevento on Friday. Torino hosts Genoa on Saturday. And Napoli, Juventus, Spezia, Milan on Saturday, all of them. Roma, Udinese on Sunday. Sampdoria, Fiorentina as well. Cagliari versus Atalanta. Crotone versus Sassuolo. Inter versus Lazio. And Verona, Parma. This last game is on Monday. Obviously, the focus is going to be on Napoli versus Juventus. This is the game that this is the reverse fixture of the game that has not been played yet between the two sides, because after the COVID situation and Napoli refusing to travel and all of that, and the situation on the table is, I mean, pretty weird comparatively. You talk about Juventus, they're 7 points behind Milan, but people are still tipping them to make that deficit, to overturn it and win the title. And I'm not one of those, really. As much as I want to say that Juventus are strong and they found their sort of rhythm and tempo under Pirlo, and Pirlo's getting things right, eliminating Inter from the cup, being more flexible tactically than almost everyone gave him credit for, I think it's still going to be a tough task to overturn the deficit, because if we're going at straight wins, I don't think that Milan are going to be dropping too much points or losing too much game, because at this point, Milan, are champions-elect. And it's going to be hard for them to lose so many games, enough for Juventus. I mean, we saw Milan, they dropped a couple of points, they lost a couple of games, yes, but they never lost twice in a row. They only lost twice, and those games were not in a row. So the only thing you could be assured of is that they won't lose 2 games in a row, and that they won't drop too many points this season to the point where they could give Juventus an edge. And yes, they have a game in hand against Napoli as well. They win it, they become, 4 points potentially? Or maybe less, depending on the results. But I think it's going to be hard. I mean, people are trying to see the normal in Juventus, but I don't see it that way. I think Juventus are not going to be able to win the Serie A. And I'm really feeling for, I'm feeling for everyone who really sure that Juventus are going to be overturning the deficit. I think, as much as Juventus are good, and they could find their form and find the right formation to play with, and Andrea Pirlo doing really good with Juventus, I doubt that he's going to have enough in the tank to overpower everyone on their way out, because there is Lazio still to go, there is Atalanta still to go. Those games are not easy. Roma, I mean, they dispatched of them quite easily in the last time, but it doesn't look really like they will do the same with Napoli. Napoli are not going to be pushovers. Yes, their form is not consistent as well, but I think it won't be that easy. The Super Cup was almost going the other way around had Insigne scored that penalty late on, but Juventus settled it with a 2-0 victory. This time it's not going to be that easy. The trip to the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium is not going to be easy for Pirlo. He needs to deal with it really, really well and needs to be careful. For Napoli and for Gennaro Gattuso, they need the win, simply. They need to win to keep... I don't want to say in the title race. I mean, 12 points of Milan is a hard gap, an impossible gap to regain or to catch up to, but they will try and keep their top 4 spots. Going to the Champions League next season is important for them. I mean, European competition is important for them. They are at the moment 6th on the table behind Lazio and ahead of Atalanta, 7th, who could still creep behind them and really take some spots in the Champions League, who knows. I mean, it's interesting to see who's going to be the top 4 in the Serie A as well, as much as it is interesting to see who's going to be winning the title. I think at a certain point it will be Milan and Inter. At a certain point, I think it will be by the next Derby della Madonnina on February 21st, which is next weekend, by the way. It will be down to Inter versus Milan, and we will see how things are going to be panning out for Juventus. Milan hosting Spezia, this should be an easy victory. Roma, Udinese, same thing as well. Atalanta in their trip to Cagliari. Inter versus Lazio, this is an interesting game for Conte after the exit from the Cup against Juventus, or the whole deal with Andrea Agnelli, the whole spat with the former chairman of the board at Juventus, and it's really, a whole situation. But I think Inter now need to focus on the Serie A. That's the only title left for them now to win, the only competition left to play. All the focus should be there against the Lazio side that, of course, have a Champions League game in the future ahead of them. Also they need to think about keeping their good spot in the table, 5th with 40 points. They could go higher if they beat Inter. They could enter themselves in a title race late on if they manage to win against Inter and maybe, get some sort of momentum going. I mean, if Milan drop points this weekend, it's going to give everyone a chance. That is what I'm going to say about the Serie A. Table stands like this: 49 points for Milan at the top, 47 for Inter, 42 for Juve, a game in hand. Roma 40, Lazio 40 as well in 5th. Napoli 37 with a game in hand. Atalanta 37, Sassuolo 31, 30 for Verona. Sampdoria 27, 24 Udinese, 24 for Genoa, 23 for Bologna, Benevento 23 as well. Fiorentina 22, 21 for Spezia, 16 Torino, 15 Cagliari, Parma 13, and Crotone at the bottom with 12 points. Before I finish the episode, I would like to make an announcement. I'm going to make reviews and previews for the CAF Champions League, the African Champions League, starting this weekend, and I'm dropping the first preview later on today. I'm not going to be making special match reviews for those because obviously they will be coinciding with the European fixtures on the weekend, so I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be making a preview on Monday, hopefully, but the games are not going to be stopping on Monday because Al Ahly are going to be playing their fixture on Tuesday, so I'm going to be probably including Al Ahly into the next preview, but I'm going to be doing previews and reviews for the CAF Champions League, hopefully to add more content to the channel and also to diversify the content sort of geographically. Anyway, that's the end from me. I'm your boy, the HOD of the PSP, of course. Like, share, subscribe to the channel, comment on this video, follow us on social media, and myself, PSP, on Twitter, Pitch Sideboard on Instagram. You can listen to this on Spotify, Google Podcast, or any other platform. And until the next time, I'll be seeing you soon. Goodbye.